Hello, I'd like to talk about realism. Realism is a modern art movement. Some people would say that it was the first modern art movement because Romanticism, although it did try to break the window on the world, realism is where it was explicitly broken. They tried to go out of their way to break it. Realism, though the name might say, was kind of a misnomer sometimes. It was all about the subject, the here and now. You only paint what you see. And a lot of it, like The Stonebreakers by Gustave Courbet, was snapshots of poverty, because realism was about portraying the social hierarchy and how the social constructs were working at the time. Because a lot of wealthy people didn't understand the poverty going around. There was a lot of divide between the middle, upper, and lower class. Another great example of snapshots of poverty is The Gleaners by Jean-Francois Millet. He portrayed the women who would get up really early in the morning after the field had been mostly cleaned from grain, and they would pick up whatever they could that was left to bring home to be able to feed who they could. What was a real major change for the realism movement was things like the development of the daguerreotype, which is a hard print onto a iron surface after long exposure. Photography was not only sensationalized, but problematic to artists at the time. Like any new technology, what came before is often said to disappear after. Just like how computers or AI was said to replace art, photography was said to possibly replace art because cameras could catch the window on the world. So what was the purpose of artists at that point? Their job was to catch that window on the world. And now, technology was saying that they could do it better. A great example of this is the daguerreotype that's most well known, which is the artist's studio. And though gritty, it is amazing technology for what they had at the time. And because they had that window on the world already taken, the artists found a new way around it. They used it. They could use it as references. They no longer had to stick to the window on the world. And then we move on to Monet, Edward Monet, who was well known for his, as they would call it, elite pornography, such as the classic Olympia, which is a very clear connected piece to past Venus-type paintings. But as he moves on, Edward Monet is known to be one of the first, biggest, most forward-pushing parts of the realism movement. And a big picture of that is the Luncheon on the Grass. Because nude photos were too real for the public. So it was very much the consequences versus the nude and the naked. The naked was what Monet painted. Monet got into a lot of trouble over painting prostitutes in the park naked. But it is one of the it is said to be one of the first modern works of art, but that's not entirely true. It's just the most prominent and popular first works of art. And it has this weird, uncanny sizing because he purposefully flattens the window on the world so everything is out of proportion. Like the woman standing by the river is way too big compared to the people in the foreground. And it's all flat, but like put together. Which he did portray the people here, so he did see it, which makes it realism. And that is about as much as I can tell you about realism. Whether he uses this or not, that's up to him.